What would be possible for us if we activated some of what science once called junk DNA? Maybe it's cosmic DNA. Welcome to another episode of Exploring Possibilities. I'm your host, Cheryl Sitz, and show creator producer Mario Rosales, and I really appreciate the time you spend with us on each episode. We hope you're getting a lot out of it. You must be telling your friends because we keep growing. Thank you for that. And show us a little financial support too. We love that. It keeps us going at journeyofpossibilities.com/support. As I said, we are growing. We're now available on all kinds of places: iHeartMedia, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, podcast players, and of course, the entire library is always free at journeyofpossibilities.com. We also listen to your request for video. You can watch this interview or any of the others recently done at youtube.com/Cheryl Sitz. We're just growing that too. Let us know what you think. We love your feedback. And joining us in just a few moments, Eva Marquez. Eva Marquez is a spiritual consultant, healer, teacher, and writer with Pleiadian starseed ancestry. She works with her guides, lights of the universe, who are a collective group of light beings from various star nations. She teaches online workshops on starseed DNA activation and Atlantean soul healing, and offers private sessions to assist you with healing and raising your vibration. I've had those, by the way. They're awesome. So today she joins us to discuss her brand new book called Activating Your Cosmic DNA. We've put a link where you can purchase this book right here on the podcast description, and a small gratuity in the form of an affiliate fee comes back to us to keep the show going. So thank you for that. A few years ago, Eva and I had the pleasure of co-creating a global meditation and a supporting Facebook group called Harmonic Convergence 333. It gave me the opportunity to know her better, and I just treasure the friendship that's grown from that. I know you're going to love her too, or maybe you're just now meeting me and you're here because Eva's here. Either way, we welcome you. Hi, Eva.
Hi, Cheryl. Thank you so much for having me on the show. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. I love any chance to connect with you. You know that.
Oh, me too. It's just, those past several years now that I know you has been just so wonderful. You brought so much of joy and growth in my life. So thank you.
Oh, I feel the same about you. I love it when I get together with my starseed family. It's so fun. Your book
Excellent.
was very special, Eva. I just loved it, and I kind of can't wait to dive in. You know, it's interesting at the beginning you talk about how some star seeds are like afraid to dive in, or they're afraid that maybe they're going to turn into their alien form if they go into their star seed essence. Or I've also seen the opposite: people that would rather live in their star seed aspect than their human side. So what do you say to people that just aren't sure what to do with this whole star seed human experience?
Well, I think that when we find that we are the star seed, the first thing that we need to realize that we can find anything about ourselves and figure it out how that starseed experience that we had will become a human experience. Because I think that is the really important lesson for us to show the others that we don't have to be afraid and scared of how we may look like or who it is up there that we're going to connect with. I think that one of the original reason that I started to work with the star seeds, as what Pleiadian says, it says to take away the fears of what we're going to become, where we're going to go, what are we going to connect with, and make it normal.
I like that. And sometimes people say, I know I'm a starseed and I want to go back. I don't want to be here. I've met a lot of those. And sometimes I've felt that way myself. Like, I just don't, couldn't I go somewhere else? I'm not sure this is where I want to be in these tumultuous times. So I like how you talk in the book about why is it important for us to be here now?
Well, because we came here to assist to humanity in evolution. We decided to stay here several thousands of years ago. And every time we are born and we awaken in our energy, we are literally ahead of the evolutionary line of the anybody else. So naturally, yes, we feel that, oh gosh, I'm different and I remember home. And there's a lot of people, starseeds now, who want to go home, who are just done with being the human. And it's like, can I go tomorrow? Can I buy the spaceship
Yes.
ticket and go? And it's not a good solution, in my opinion, because again, we have undertaken this journey to show humanity that we are all growing into multidimensional beings. Human beings have been designed to become multidimensional beings, and they are getting closer to that timeline where we all will be traveling among the stars, whenever it is in our soul mind consciousness or in our real body. And I think we need to get ready for it. And that's why we are here. We are the ground crew, right? The boots on the ground. And I think that we need to realize that we decided to stay here because we loved humanity, and we need to find how we will love our human self before we go home. Because how we can, even if we can go home tomorrow, how we can help and assist humanity in the evolution when we did not love the human experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
And most of us have been here for a while. We've been through several experiences here. You go into that in the book. You talk about Lemuria and Atlantis and Egypt, and the book does a wonderful job of showing us why certain things may be resonating for us now, because we actually had experiences at that time. You want to talk a little bit about that, why you go into that in the book, what the relevance of that is to now?
Because I think it is important that I think when I write about it or when people hear about it, it brings back the memories. So first, as these alien species who came to explore the earth, we started in the Lemuria. And we know that this Lemurian energy is so strongly awakening, and so is Atlantean Egyptian. The west coast of the USA is so infused in the Lemurian energy right now. And so is, interestingly enough, Japan, what I heard. And what I'm recently exploring, very fascinating kind of the way. And the east coast of the USA is so infused in the Atlantean energy. And so we start feeling it and we start remembering it more. And so then we need to look in that past. Okay, we have been here in the Lemuria. Lemuria has been in this beautiful female-centered kind of the civilization, very peaceful, very soul heart-centered. And then we look at the Atlantis, which was very mind-centered, let's say, in the heavy infused in this masculine kind of the energy. And if we take that step back, it's just like, oh, the Lemuria didn't work out and so much happened and Atlanteans did this and that happened. They want to literally, us to take a step back, and it says, look, you experimented both of this civilization, because many of us did. Whenever we decided after Lemuria to stay in the Atlantis or go and have a life inside of the inner earth. And so we want to look at it. What is the lesson that we have learned? It's not only that we're bringing back our knowledge and technology. I think that we have learned that if we have only heart-centered civilization, it's not going to survive as much as beautiful. And I think we all remember this Lemuria, like, if I cannot go to Pleiades, can I at least go to Lemuria, with all this? But we are the creatures in all universe that have a heart-mind connection, and we need both. And we try to isolate one or the other. And we go into the Atlantis, the Atlantean greatness. And I have some very good memories too from the Atlantis. Before, the destruction, it was very mind-centered. So it was more in the masculine energy. It's not going to work out. Now, in the age, we try to collect all the knowledge and information, sort of like the data and the research, and in the future, because we know that the earth is part of the cycle and the patterns. And the patterns do either repeat or the patterns can be changed. And that's, I think, why you and I and those before us work on the harmonic convergence really hard, so we can change the patterns. So if we as a starseeds remember these two cultures or two civilizations, we can look, okay, it's happening again. If we as Lemurians and Atlanteans are awaking at the same time, recognizing that we are the starseeds who live here, that means we have a chance to create another, let's say, evolved civilization. It's not the different kind. We evolve into different kind of the civilization. So what would be the cross between the Lemurians and Atlanteans? Lemutians. I don't know. I never talk about the word until now, Lemutians. So one day they says, okay, they have a Lemuria, they had Atlantis, they had Egypt, they had a dark and golden ages. And then Lemutians came out. Which, let's say, can be the second Maya or so much on. I think that we remember that we can find this hard mind consciousness, take what work from both civilization and bring it in our life. And that goes with all these starseed memories that we have, take what worked, take what, serve us in the highest positive way and apply it in the evolution of life.
I do believe that's what I've heard called Project Earth. I think that's really what Earth is all about. We are here to learn how to blend heart and mind, but we've been so stuck in one's got to be right and the other's got to be wrong, and which one's more important, and instead of just focusing on harmonizing. Good point. Good stuff. You talk about some great things in the book. You talk about how we can free ourselves from this reincarnation cycle. You talk about how we can manage this 3D, 4D, and 5D energy. You want to speak to that one for a moment?
Yes, about the reincarnation cycle
or the 3D, 4D, whatever, both.
I think, once we figure it out, the shift from the 3D, 45 into 5D, we will definitely free ourselves from the reincarnation cycle. This is actually the new book that I'm writing about, but we talk about this one. But it all, it all shifts together. 3D cycle is or 3D life pattern is the survival pattern. And we eventually all lower down into the survival pattern. We have forgotten who we are. We play the game to be the human, let's call it. Yeah. And then we kind of get lost. You play the Monopoly and you are the winner, and suddenly you go like, oh gosh, I have this debt and what I'm gonna do. And then you forget what it is. And that's what it is. We're here to sustain, and we had to go into the human body, and we fell into these survival cycles. And we know that the survival is enforced or ensured by fears. The fears help you to survive. And we became master of it, all of us. And especially, the starseed, because we are so sensitive and oversensitive. And those fears, anxiety, panics, and so much on, that is the first thing that you feel after your wonderful awakening, when you have that like, oh my God, I made a connect. And you go like, oh my God, what is happening to me? Uh-huh. So that comes to the realization, what is happening to you? You have opened the 4-dimensional energy. I call it the sea of the feelings, or ocean of the full of the sharks that you are thrown up there, and they are everywhere. And you go like, okay, if I keep swimming and I find I'll be brave, I go to this 6 heart, I think it's called the compassion of the heart, the compassion, forgiveness, appreciation, acceptance, love, humility, bravery. That is the way to get through that 4-dimensional energy. The 4-dimensional energy is literally just the feelings. It is, and the feeling, it's there very split. Same, there's a very big duality and very big polarity between the bad and the good. And I think it's teaching us that we have a choice. And that is our way out of this reincarnation, the cycle. It's not that tomorrow I'm going to get whisked into Pleiades. It would be lovely. Don't take me wrong. I would love that too. But this is not how they teach me, or how I see the way to it. They always go, there's not a shortcut to the enlightenment. I'm like, okay, let's do this. So the 4-dimensional energy teaches us that we have a choices. The things are happening to every single one of us in life. The things are happening currently in the world that we do not agree, and we are split into several kind of the groups of the people who believe in this and who believe in that. The ultimate part is that we have a choice how we are going to feel. I may not have a choice where I live, what I'm going to have for dinner, or what it is that I will do tomorrow, but I will have a choice how I'm going to feel about it, and nobody's going to take away that from us. That is the beautiful example of the free soul will that we have. And Dr. David Hopkins wrote wonderful things about it in the book Letting Go, in his book The Letting Go. And so there are many examples. I'm not going to go into that. The point is that it doesn't matter in which situation you are, you have a choice. Once you make a choice, you say, you know what? It doesn't matter how bad it is. I'm going to choose the happiness. See, I don't think that the happiness comes to us as this like, yay, I'm happy. Happiness is a choice.
It is.
And gosh, I always talk like the older you get, the easier it gets. And it's not true. Suddenly you ever see, how it really is. And our choices. And we can choose if we're gonna love our life, love our situation, and choose to be happy, choose to work toward that success that we would like to create here, and so much on. And there definitely are these tests, let's call it the tests from our soul family. And this is what makes me sometimes laugh, because you have to find the humor in it. They go like, oh, so you want to go to the fifth dimensional energy. You want to have your psychic ability and this beautiful awareness of the things. Well, let's see, how bad do you want it? And it's like, there you are swimming, in that sea, and you're seeing the land. And there are these beautiful beings or ugly green beings who are waiting for you, all benevolent and friendly. And they're just standing here having a cup of tea, and you go like, just throw me the
lifeline.
Or just help me, And they go like, nah, let's see how you want it. It's not a mean thing. It's actually a very benevolent and loving thing, because that really show our, I would say, readiness, that show our, I don't want to say dedication, but it show what is it that really want in our life. Do we want to stay in that survival thing and always have somebody who's gonna save us? And then we'll be eventually unthankful that they didn't save us, I don't know, in the half of the sea, but they just waited until I can see the land. I could really swim there. I mean, be real, right? That's how we are. And I don't know how they are, how we all are. And I think this is important also to realize, to look at this pattern, to realize, they speak about the 3 R's: realize, reflect, and reset your patterns. That's,
yes.
The key. So we realize that we all have been there. None of us was raised in the family of wonderful Essenes like the Jesus Christ. We all had to fight for the survival. Then I realized where I, have been in that kind of the situation, and how I'm gonna evolve. So if I want to evolve, I'm gonna swim there, and I'm gonna get there, and I'll be grateful. I'll be thankful. I find the love for myself, not for them that they waited for me. They don't want that. They want us to find the love for ourselves. Because if I love myself, I will strive for that, toward that evolutionary kind of the energy. And that's the 5th dimensional energy. And once we come there, they will help us to teach us. I mean, the body itself, the 5th dimensional body, we should manage to have in the physical body. Because I think that, we all talk about these aliens, and we channel them, and Pleiadians and the others. But I think we need to kind of realize that if the information or the guidance they give us, they need us, the ground crew, to carry it through, to give it a voice, to give it an action, to carry it in that physical energy of the earth, to create a physical reality on the earth that gives the opportunity to other people to heal their soul and free themselves from this incarnation cycle. If they could do it from that place up there, they would just do whatever we do. We would be here in our oblivious, happy kind of the life. Margarita on the beach would not be that bad, right? And then we go like, oh, this is great. So that's why they share that with us. And 5th dimensional energy, Rotary, means that you are aware of your senses within the body, that you follow the flow, or as my friend says, jet stream. You get the jet stream and you just follow it. Your awareness awaken, your 5 basic senses will turn into extraordinary senses, which is the smell, taste, sight, touch, and sound, which we take for granted. It's all built up inside of us, that open our 6th sense in a way that we can't even imagine. And get this one, it's gonna open our time traveling abilities. Now, not that we push the button on our chest and we go somewhere, but we can much more fluently move in the past timeline and even the future timeline. So we can view what it is that may possibly need to change, how we need to shift ourselves, how we need to work on that soul mind connection. So we have a Lemurian civilization. I actually like that word.
We invented a word on the show today. I love that. Yeah, it's true. I love that. And one of the things that came when I was listening to you is I think sometimes we think that these shifts in awakening are going to be massive. Like we're going to wake up in a completely different state in one day, and that's going to be, or the body's going to look so different, or aliens are going to be in our living rooms, and I don't think it is that. I think it's gradual. I think it's already unfolding. I can relate to all three of those that you said. I think there's moments I'm 3D, moments I'm 4D. I've had 5D experiences. And this is that fluid time, isn't it? When we're kind of shifting in and out of all of those as we're doing our inner work, right? To let go and to ascend.
Absolutely. We are literally fluctuating between that. We are learning, we are healing our past, finding ourselves that we are not controlled by our emotions, that we can be, have that choice, or how, some people call it, we become the slave of our emotions and become the masters of them.
Yes.
And then we stay in that fifth dimensional energy. And it's a learning kind of the way. If we would wake up in the morning in a different reality, in a different way, or surrounded by aliens, it's not a benevolent kind of the thing. If there are, I don't know, 30% of the humanity agreeing, even 40 or 50, and the rest do not, it is against their free will. We can only do that by our free will and nothing else. And another thing I would like to mention, somebody I was just talking with mentioned the Philadelphia experience, which we are very all familiar with, right? And I think this is a really good example. If we make a quick jump from one dimension to the higher dimension, so I say from the 3 to 5 dimension, it would overwhelm our nervous system. And there will be a lot of issue with the psychosis and the neurological diseases and the problems. So we are moving not only in the consciousness, we are not moving with our soul into another planet tomorrow. We are teaching the body evolve. We are at the evolutionary process. Same like when primates was walking on the floor, and then they eventually raised into walking on the leg, just on the toes, on the legs. We are literally encoding the light codes into the body, that this body will be fifth dimensional body. So my hope, or the vision, how I see it, that let's say some starts right now, but maybe in the 20, 30 years, it will be more normal that the babies will be born into this fifth dimensional body, cellular bodily energies. And so if we do this jump, there will be, again, the skip in the evolution that would weaken the nervous system and would cause a lot of physical issues and psychological problems, which is not going to be good for us up there. So that's why we need to take a time. We need to fluctuate. And if you are lucky that you are a young person, shall I call them a young person who will have a babies, because I'm definitely beyond the baby's age.
Yeah, me too.
So I mean it respectfully to everybody. But if you manage to get yourself with a partner in that fifth dimensional energy, your body will already create cellular structure of the fifth dimensional babies. And then all you have to just to help them to adjust to it. So their body will not be programmed by the fears. We still, will have some to help us to survive, but it will be different. And I think that's what starts creating this golden age, where we have these lovely star seeds that are coming into this soul, mind, consciousness body, be supported by the soul, mind, consciousness centered family. Maybe that is what we call the heaven on earth, or that connection between the energy. That's the Lemurians. Let's root for them.
Right? Oh, I love that. It's so true. We've got to take the body, and it can't do it just overnight. It can't. And how do we do that? It's yes, it's doing our inner work, but it's also changing the foods, changing what we drink, changing what we eat, changing what we do. It's completely redoing our habits, and those take time to reprogram into the body because we become what we usually do. So there's lots of changes going on for all of us right now, and we just need to remember all the beautiful reasons we're doing it. Your book is a great motivator. You
Thank
talk about all the
you.
different star seeds too. I like the way you broke it down. You had three of them in the remember section, and those were Andromeda, Pleiades, and Sirius. And then you had another section after that that was Centaurus. I don't think I'm going to say this one right. Epsilon Eridani.
Yes,
Did
you
I get it
do.
right?
Say it right.
And Lyra. So, what's the difference between the first three and remembering and then the ones after that? Do you want to explain that a little bit?
So the first three group, and they literally came to me in the group of threes. It was fascinating. And it's not that I would pick them. They pick, I guess, me to write about them.
Yeah.
And the first three are the most common star nations that we are connected with, that people feel connected to. Pleiadians, who are the soul healers, Syrians, who have Akashic records in their planet, especially planet B, and Andromedians, who are phenomenal healers. And the dolphins, whales come from their world, even though they are found in another planets that is like that way. Those were, I think, the first three original families who came here to the earth. They were the original, let's say, Lemurians. I would say started with Pleiadians and they added there. So before we came to the Lemuria, we trained in the Pleiades. Not all of them trained there after us, but I would say almost everybody who came to Lemuria went through this boot camp in the Pleiades who teach them about the earth and so much on. And then the shortcuts came later on. And that's where the Atlanteans came and so much on. And I don't mean it in a bad way. So when we remember them, we remember the soul energy. We remember the healing. So Pleiadians, the soul energy, we remember that bodily connection, that even they had a body that they had to sustain, they had to feed, they had to heal. It's not that they were just pure light, right? Like without the physical body.
Right.
And the Syrians combined the mind and the soul energy. So they already had that, beautiful teaching of the both pathways together. Then the other three star nations came more in that Atlantean time, Lyran, Epsilon, Eridani, and Centaurus. And they are more, I would say, the mind-centered. They do have both half and half. The Lyrans would have this, the feline star nations, and the humanoids would be half and half. But there definitely have been a distraction. And there have been destruction in the planet. Atlantis ended up into the destructions. Lemurians are, Lemurians. The Lyrans are who literally do introduce the technology and artificial intelligence. Then they need to have a core group who gets them, who understands them, and who helps them to I would say to see what happened and negotiate, how we're gonna maybe use it somewhere else. So the Pleiadians would be like, no, let's just connect to the senses and it's gonna be okay. And the Lyrians would be like, why don't have a automatic vacuum to clean your house instead of doing it yourself?
Mm-hmm.
For example. And so there comes these Epsilon Eridanis who are an amazing negotiators who can sort of look and says, let's say between the Pleiadians and the Lyrans, and they says, look, there's a need for the both of it. How do we connect it one with the other? How are we gonna look at this, the science of the heart, and how do we make it work as a collective instead of just be one with the other? And the Centaurians, I very much compare to it's not a compare, but they have that healing energy like Andromedians. They are the hybrids. And since the hybridization program was brought down to the earth, there's so much to learn from them. And they master it in a really good way in their world. The Lyrans did it pretty good in the Centaurus. So from them, they are maybe closer to our teaching of how to evolve and how to be the humans, how to, sort of learn it, to start it from the beginning and the middle and to the end in the good way without the destruction. Does that make sense?
It does. And I loved So the Lyrans were also known as the Anunnaki. And I want to read a couple of short paragraphs that
Yes,
you
please.
wrote. And this is from channeling the Lyrans about the fall. Actually, this is about the fall. This is
Mhm.
about where it all went wrong. All were natural leaders. It is encoded in our DNA like survival and reproduction is encoded in yours. The more our intellect developed, the smarter we became, and the more technology we craved. In the end, failure was unavoidable. Too afraid to embrace unconditional love and look for solutions, we put others of our kind on the path to destruction. Looking back, our problem was that we lacked a heart-mind connection. When you live only from the heart, parentheses, soul, or only from the mind, you create disharmony because these two are twin flames in this universe. Eventually, we have learned that the best leader's success strives from a soul mind union. I have never heard it put better. I believe that's what we're all trying to embody in skin. Perfectly put. As easy as it is to say, oh, the Anunnaki were bad and whatever, the Lyrans were bad. If we can get past bad and good, I believe what we have been harmonizing as a planet or learning through
Yeah.
polarities all this time, it all lives inside of us in our DNA. We are all of that. And if we can harmonize it within ourselves, and as you say, ascend within our bodies, that is how we create heaven on earth. Instead of trying to get back to where we came from, we came here for a reason, right? Let's get excited
Yes.
about that again.
Yes, I think that's what we need to do. That's very well said. Excited about that again. Because many of us are burned out and tired. So
Yes,
it's
I
time to get
know.
excited, about all of that. And the interesting thing about the Lions was they were the last star nation that I wrote about. And I kind of like, I don't know, I didn't feel that first. And then one day it felt like they just landed in the spaceship in my backyard. Not that I would see them in my eyes. And I was like, okay, you are ready. And that's what it is from that 3D to 4D to 5D. Let go of the judgment. Find a neutral way. Because I says, you know what? Let's write about the neutral way. There's a lot of judgment up there. And yes, we can spend another 1,000 of years to pointing up the fingers. But you know what? It doesn't matter on which side we were. If we were the Anunnaki who may have been the darkest of the darkest or the good ones, because we know there was a good ones and the bad ones.
Right.
We all go into the same place. And we all have learned. And I think that in a way, we may not want to hear that, but we all crave that experience. And for some reason, we all have to come to that conclusion that the harmony is the way how we be done with the earth, how we be done maybe with this universe. Maybe that's all what was a learning in this universe. We came here, we harmonized our soul with the mind, and we had the experiences. And perhaps one day when we all have that experience, we'll be up there. And we know that there are several kind of the universes. Maybe this universe is that twin flame harmony that is within us, and then we can find our twin flames out there.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
Perfectly put. I love the book. Again, it's activating your cosmic DNA. It's just coming out. This is perfect timing for us to be doing this. I'm so excited for its launch. You even share your story in the book as well, which is great. You have a beautiful
Thank
story.
you.
We've all had hardships, as you say. It's
Yes.
about what do we do with that? What did we came here to do? Getting refocused on
Yeah.
kind of shaking that stuff off and moving forward. And what are we here to do?
I think we are here to create a way of life and to show the others that we can turn all our suffering into empowerment. We can, if we can raise from our hurts, our victimhood, our anger, our need to be right, and need for the justice, and turn it into this empowerment and says, look, I can live through this. And doesn't matter, we know the stories what happened. And if I can find a way of life that is filled with love and happiness, anybody else can be inspired to walk that way as well. And I think that will make us the better being that shows, the hope for the future. Because Earth's gonna be here 1,000 years from now yet. And I do believe that. And it's in a pretty good shape. And we are showing a different way of life. Perhaps that's how Lyrens, in a way, says we are all natural leaders, and we all are. And if we find that harmony, we create a way of life with harmony. And if you look into all the ancient teachings in the thousands of years back, that's all they talk about. It's not about, how I can manifest the apple in the hand. I would like that. Don't take me wrong, how I walk through the wall and do all these magical things.
But it's not the point, right?
But no, all it is about learn to be in the control your emotions, learn to stabilize your mind, transform your ego into the mind, create an inspiring way of life that others will follow. If you change yourself, you change the world, as the Gandhi said.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just recently read in its entirety Messages from the Hollow Earth on this same YouTube channel. And so if you haven't checked it out, go hear the entire story. It's beautiful. And I'm reminded of the ending of it where it said, we're going to be able to look back one day and say, I was there. I was there for the magic time when Earth ascended, and I did it in a body. And this is such a gift to be here for this.
It is definitely, as you said, I was there, and I would say the most empowering thing is what you said. I was able to do it in the body. And they would say, what? And that, I always compare it to the car. In that old car that you were driving? What, when we have these electric floating things, solar powered, and you did in that? And they go like, wow.
Yeah.
We bow down to you.
In bodies that felt and smelled and tasted and sensed every moment of it. That's the gift.
Yeah, that is the gift, and it's beautiful. And then there will be those others, who will come, and we will be up there telling our story, and they will be, oh my God, the Earth sounds like a dream. And they go like, oh, you may like to read the fine print. And they go like, oh no, I'm signing up. For how many thousands of years I can sign up? And we go like, think about it twice. It was good, but it builds the character. But read the fine print. So there will be those who will, eventually come, or we may go to the other planets to do it. But it is a beautiful way. That's what we are here. We need to find who we are and realize how that old ancient alien that you are, the lovely old soul, will fit into 21st century body, how it will be normal, and how it will be create a way of life that is inspiring for the others to become multidimensional being.
That's a great parting thought. I think we'll wrap it up there. Time has flown as it always does when we connect, but thank you for your time. Thank you for all the ways that you share this wisdom with us when we really need it most. Thank you, Eva.
Thank you. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you for who you are and what you are doing. And thank you.
Oh, and thank you, Mario, for doing the technology in the background. He's our silent support that keeps all of this going. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Mario.
And thank you for joining us, listening, watching, however you're joining us. Let us know what you think at journeyofpossibilities.com. And we'll see you next time on Exploring Possibilities.